I would like to call the December 19, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting to order at 7 p.m. Roll call.
Gwen Bialik.
Here.
David Costa.
Here.
Stephanie Hausch.
Here.
Jennifer Regola. Here. Steve Sebastian.
Here.
Shelley Shaw.
Here.
Josie Shattuck.
Here.
Charles Bourne, present.
Please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public participation. Members of the audience are encouraged to make comments and ask questions to the board consistent with board policy 2.230. Please identify yourself and limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Looking at the check-in list, Mr. Jim, do you want to talk? I'll give you the opportunity. If you'd like to talk now, Mr. Jim Berg, you can talk now, or you can talk during our after the taxation hearing.
Hi, I'm Jim Berg. I live in Oakwood Hills and I'm 82 years old, retired, and that's the reason I'm here. My son is a graduate of junior high. He graduated 14 years ago and he went on to become a mechanical engineer. So I have love for this school, obviously, and it did well for my son. I'm just concerned on a fixed income, as most retired people are. Our inflation and everything else cutting away at our dollars. And now we're talking about increasing by 23.1% the school tax. And I understand we need finances and we need to keep things going. We have debt to pay for. I just hope that maybe that number can come down a little bit, quite a bit, hopefully. And that's the reason I just speaking up, and I don't know what's going to go on. So maybe I'm speaking out of turn so early in the presentation, but that's where my thoughts are. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Kathy, you had it marked yes or no.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay, Carolyn and John Oates. No? Okay, and then Mr. Mike.
Where's the last name?
Mike Lesperance,
Yes, would you like to speak?
when is the next opportunity to speak?
It's gonna be, we're gonna have a truth and taxation hearing, and then Dr.
You
Beagle
can speak during the hearing.
hearing, which is like literally in.
Next item.
Yeah, I just assume like,
Okay,
thank you.
okay. May I have a motion to open the truth and taxation hearing? So moved. Second. Discussion?
We're talking, sure.
Yeah.
So the truth taxation hearing is now open, as we discussed last month when we went through the levy in depth. I acknowledge that the advertisement that went in the paper said 23.1%. As a district that is covered under PTEL, so existing property owners, the maximum increase would be 5%. That's the most that you can ask for in your levy. We do have a lot of new property in the district that eats up, it's about 4.2% or so of that levy. We always ask for a balloon levy to catch things the county doesn't quite catch up yet until springtime. The remaining numbers in that really jump up to 23.1 would be the bonds that we have. And as you know, we have an action item on the agenda there tonight to abate those bonds, which would then take them off the tax rolls. But legally, I am required to put that number on the truth and taxation hearing in case for some reason you choose not to abate the bonds. Every year so far that we've had bonds, the board has chosen to abate them, and we pay the cost of those bonds and principal and interest out of district reserves, EBF funds, or whatever money that was pledged for that, which are the two areas we have, EBF and district funds. So I'm assuming that once it's all said and done, again, we're back to PTEL, which is 5%. Okay. But it's open for hearings. Anyone in the audience that wants to ask questions, feel free to ask questions. We're talking to the board, and if the board has any questions, this will be your opportunity to continue to talk about them now.
Yeah, so if you have a question, this is a great time to ask it. Yeah.
So Mr. Duke, the only word that you used that I didn't assume.
Okay.
The 5%. What assurance do we have have you run them numbers to know where
Or is it even possible to run on numbers, not knowing the new growth?
We have estimates of the new growth from the county.
Hmm.
However, because we are tax capped, the maximum number that the assessor's office can put on our levy is 5% for existing property owners. Now, we have no control whether or not your particular piece of property increases in value or decreases in value. That's based on the assessor's office. We have no control over that. We're asking about the amount of dollars that the district has requested cannot exceed 5% for existing homeowners.
So this gentleman here and myself, who are paying X amount of dollars in property tax to the school district, this year or last year, won't see more than a 5% increase. That I don't completely understand how
Yes.
detail works.
Okay.
I am aware of the 5% maximum that we can request without black boxing. I'm a little ignorant about why you have to put 23%. But you're assuring us tonight that the residents that live within your school district that have been here for a long time are only gonna see a 5% tax increase if our homes remain the same value.
That would be a correct statement.
Okay,
That would be the assumption that we should have, yes.
But even I don't understand it completely. So if we didn't levy for the bond for the debt that's issued, then we wouldn't abate it. But then the county clerk's office would pay it on behalf of the district.
Oh, no, if you don't abate the bond, then the clerk's office will levy that tax on the homeowners.
Yeah.
Above the 5%?
Oh, yes, above the 5%.
Because of
Yes.
5%, this is because it's a bond?
Correct.
so what I said would only be true if your board chooses to abate the bond. And you agree with me, but it's still qualified that the board has to abate the bonds.
Yes.
Which is on.
Which is on.
But that bond payment comes out of the 5% that we're levying.
No, the bond abatement, the bond is above and beyond the 5%.
So then, okay, so say we did not levy that. Okay, and just say we levied, we did not bond
We didn't abate.
that amount.
Did abate the bond.
Then we wouldn't have the money to abate it back. But the debt is still there, so the county has to pay off the debt.
They're required.
Isn't it the same, I guess I'm getting at, isn't it the same thing, whether we ask for it and abate it, or whether we don't ask
Oh,
for it?
we don't
and
get it.
The county
We're
pays?
using other money to abate it. Well, I mean, we're abating it, but, so it's never collected and never, we're
From
using
that.
other money, like
It's
our,
abated out of our operating expenses.
Correct, not the operating funds, which we levy for, correct? Yes.
That's what I was getting at.
Yes,
So let's just say we didn't have that issue,
okay.
we wouldn't be levying for
Then I
that.
probably would not have recommended the full 5%.
Okay.
That's what you're asking. Yes.
but we're not getting the 17%, right? Though that, it's still within that 5%.
I'm just saying, we're levying more because of the debt that's owed, but then we're abating it back, where if we didn't levy the dollars, the county would have to do it on our behalf anyway, is
They
it?
would, and they would.
Isn't it the
they're
same
required to, yes. But it would be above the 5% if we, so you allow just the assessor's office to do that, it'd be above the 5%.
So the district abating it holds it under the 5%.
You're correct.
I have a question
Yes,
now.
ma'am.
In looking at past records, last year, the taxes levied were on 15%.
Mhm.
This year it shot up to 23%. I don't understand.
So earlier this year, the district talked about it for 3 months, but had the paper and issued a second round of bonds, second round of debt.
And this was because of those bonds.
Correct.
And
So
how
we
long do
have
those
2 current
bonds-
bonds on our books right now,
How long do those bonds last?
20 years. Most district, when you bond things, are going out to 20 years. You can go to 30 years, but we generally go 20.
So we can just keep doing bonds and bonds and bonds. Can we just keep doing those, or is there a limit to those?
There's a limit. There's a limit.
And have we reached our limit?
We're at the limit, yes. We wouldn't go any further than that without a referendum.
That was my next question.
So
We
this
also
prevented
paid off-
us from going to a
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
This prevented us from going to a referendum. This is like, we're staying within this limit so that we could do the remainder of the extensions.
I kind of.
Yeah.
Figured
Ms.
that.
We did pay off our first set of bonds already.
I'm sorry.
We did pay off the first set of the bonds from 20 years.
The
Yeah,
2003
first-
bonds.
Yeah,
Pay off, yes.
Well, you pay those off just like you do a car.
well, we're done
Yeah.
paying on them, but now, yeah,
But I just wanted to know if next year it's gonna be 30%.
No.
No.
no, we can't go.
Ms. Crapo?
And how much were you able to get in bonds, without having a voter approval?
The bonds that we issued this time were $13 million.
How much?
13 million?
13 million. And is this the first time or were there some other
Second time.
second time? And what was that amount for?
10.4, I believe, 10 million 4.
Is that the one that's paid off?
No,
No, so we've got 23 million out in bonds.
the debt, correct.
But what's the debt accumulation for?
We had made some side improvements in addition to the building. We have another one coming this summer.
So we did the whole fifth grade wing, and then we had the life safety, improvements that we had to do with like rebricking and other things that they required by, so we used the money for that, and now we're adding another 9 classrooms, like 10 classrooms this summer.
That's what's coming?
Yes,
That's what's coming.
So instead of running a referendum,
And the additions that we are currently working on are much smaller than what was proposed at the referendum,
Yeah,
Correct.
so we're not,
survey process that we.
That's correct.
went through.
to us.
Yes.
This is the time, please ask.
So I'm the road commissioner here in Nunda, and I've ran the road district for the last 11 years. And in the 11 years, I haven't raised taxes once. My levy has been the same or been lowered twice.
we appreciate that.
And it's insignificant because it's no great amount of money on my tax bill or yours. I don't mean that it doesn't matter, but that's why I ran for road commissioner in this community, is to set an example of how we ought to treat retirees' tax dollars. As I see myself reaching retirement in the next 10 years, and this is unsustainable. If all of us taxing bodies, I pulled up my tax bill and I started counting when you opened the meeting. But if every taxing body raises their taxes every year 5%, we can't afford to live here. This is a great state. And I know we all whine about Illinois being a rotten place, but it's really not, because we make a good living here. But at some point, we're taxing the people that built this place right out of it. We've got to get more fiscally responsible about, and use best practices and live within our means. My guys get a good raise every year. And I find other cost saving measures. We've built additions, we've built new buildings. We've improved our roads like never before. And we've stayed with, we're at 12-year-old levies. I voted for Mrs. Rohalik. I talked with her brother-in-law today about his $19,000 tax bill. Mine's only 16. It's absurd. 16 and $19,000. $7,000 of my, $6,900 of my tax bill goes to this school. My kid's got a good education. Wasn't here, it was in Crystal Lake. But we've got to start. We got to figure it out. I look across there and I see people that are plenty smart enough to figure this out. But you're doing it to yourselves, whether you live in this community or a different community near here. We gotta start He's 85 years old. We just gonna raise his taxes 5% every year? His income isn't going up 5% every year.
Well, we all live in this community, we all pay taxes.
Yeah.
My tax bill is more than both of those than you just said, so we are doing it to ourselves. But the school, we had 5 classrooms built over there, and we're gonna do another 10. The library we just built 5-6 years ago has classrooms in it now that can't even be utilized. Because the community, you know, the housing market flipped as a good market for the last several years, and the schools has lots of kids and needs space. So when the community doesn't want to do a referendum, the board, because before these projects, the board did choose to not levy the max amount several years in a row, which your levy compounds off of your last year. So by not levying the 5%, those couple years, it permanently takes the levy, it's less than it could be. I'm not gonna say it's cost savings, it's cost avoidance. You understand?
I completely understand that.
And the board for many, many years, even before I was on it, was always just the max levy, the max levy, the max levy. And then we started challenging it, we started not levying the max. And we did it several years in a row, but then the capacity went up and we're out of space. And this board has chosen not to stick trailers outside. So we've been spending money on infrastructure. And I'll tell you what, after these 10 classrooms, they'll be full soon. And another few years will go by, and the board that's sitting here then will have to decide if we're gonna keep investing in the school, or we're gonna just start sticking trailers outside, because that's where it's gonna go. Those 10 classrooms will be full next year already.
What do you consider full?
Within the class size that this, again, that could change. The district has standards on what class size we want this to be at. And that's, I mean, like I said, that library has classrooms in it now. That's not what that was
What
before.
is enrollment right now?
There's 880 today.
We taught here years ago when it was over 1,000, with a lot smaller building, and we didn't have trailers. And I'm not putting it down, I love this school. I taught here for 26 years. I love everything that happened here then. We worked hard towards it, but you're a lot less enrollment. And I do not understand why that library is being used for classrooms at this time, because we had a lot of classroom space at one time. I don't know where it went. I don't know what's going on, but I know that admin has moved down to the Gianelli's area, which we're paying for a lease down there too as well. So I have a lot of concerns about use of space.
You know, I've actually shared those same concerns about use of
I
space.
can't hear you.
I've shared those, we've shared a lot of that just dialogue about use of space, why I remember people, you know, my kids have graduated and stuff. And so, you know, one of the things is like when we made new spaces, we took away classrooms.
Yes.
So we did that to give other, you know, like the fax room and other stuff to our students to give them a more enriched experience here. But we also looked at, there's been a lot more demands on different types of special education requirements that we've had to use.
That's what I thought, I understand.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and the population has been changing to have more special education kids come here, so the services, the room spaces, that also, we try to maintain not going at the 30 mark of students in our classrooms to try to find the right size for the different grade levels. So we've pushed on all of those topics and are trying to kind of make sure we find the right balance, because we've had just the last 3 months, we've been actually discussing in open session. How many, give us a number, how many kids in this grade level, how many kids in this grade level, is it this number, what's posted on the website? So we've dialogued about that and we're trying to find the right, you know, thing. The other conversation we've also had in open session here is, you know, we don't have other resources for tax money.
I understand that.
And that's been a frustration because we would rather have like, you know, I mean, another resource, which could be businesses, but that's another
That's
balance of,
something you can't help.
right, I mean, well,
We
yeah.
we know, we understand that.
And that would be something that, you know, if we need to help offset it, that we could get other businesses to come. We got more houses coming, but you know, that's other discussion that we try to do, you know, hey, if there was some other resource of money.
But those impact fees aren't gonna help us, and those,
And the big impact fees that you used to get don't exist.
they don't, I
I
know.
mean, we've tried
I know
and,
they cut
Tried
those.
everything.
yeah, even like some of it was like fighting with Crystal Lake on that impact fees for the neighborhood up there because McHenry County changed some rules and then Crystal Lake wanted to change rules and we're like, no, we want the money, you're coming here. And, you know, we even like talking to developers and saying, hey, can you help us do this or do that, you know, so we're trying to think out of the box, but there's also what's in our hands, what limitations, and we're going to continue to think out of the box to see are there, you know, things that we can talk to the village about to help with these concerns. So we're trying our best, but we have to balance everything.
I think the most surprising thing about this evening is that you black boxed 23.1%, and only 7 of us bothered to show up to question you about it. So, I don't know, I don't get that.
We don't either, we don't either.
But if you raised just your line item, for me, it was $1,700 if you raise it. So yours is gonna be more, if you were to raise it 23.1%. So I'm gonna go home and tell my wife, oh, I got them down to 5%.
What's your
Yeah.
number?
Yeah, Ms. Crackle.
I got a couple questions. One, adding the 10 classrooms, and they will be full next year, so I'm a little confused because I taught here many years as well, and I think that the limit was, or the guidelines were kindergarten through 2nd grade, no more than 24 students. So that would seemingly be 240 students. Where are those 240 students being housed right now that they're gonna be full next year? You know what I'm saying?
We currently do not have 24 students in each kindergarten classroom. We have less than that currently. 18 to 20 is the current target for kindergarten and 1st grade.
Oh, is that in the board policy then now? Like it used to be where the, that's just, what are the guidelines then? 18 to 20
That's
for
not
K2?
in policy or aren't in the CBA.
Oh, it's not?
No.
So it's something that you,
Cause it used to be 24, and then 28 for 3 to 5, and then over 30, and they would try to do something to lower those numbers in the 6 through 8.
The only numbers
So-
we have that are currently in the CBA indicate that if there's a class that exceeds 30, then we provide para support for that classroom.
So that's one of the cost-saving measures that could be considered. When I went to school, it was 30. I understand that every generation wants better, and it costs more. But that gentleman there, he's 24 years my senior, and he paid for his kids to go to school. And now we've got to change something. We've got to come together, and the $6,000 senior credit or whatever, the senior freeze doesn't cut it to be able to stay here in Illinois. We have to figure something out. I mean, maybe we got to keep going on 5%, but when you reach some point, at least the school taxes, like, okay, I'm working, you're working. Somehow we're gonna figure it out. He ain't got no choices. You know, I mean, this gentleman might, but there's some that have no choices, and we leave them no choice. I've seen them. I got family members that left, that moved into public housing because they can't afford to pay the Lake or McHenry County taxes. We've got to do something with the school taxes for our seniors. And I know that doesn't happen here at this level. I know what happens in Springfield. But we got to spread the word. We got to work together. And we got to figure out how to make our community include seniors. We're just running them out of here. And we can say it's because we're too busy and we don't have time. But There's a lot of, when that gentleman moves to Tennessee because he can afford to live there and get crappy healthcare, look at the knowledge that leaves with him. You know, we're all about education. We pay for all this education here in Illinois, and then they can't afford to stay here when they're old. We get a lot from old people being around. I've taken up way too much of your time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for sharing.
I understand I used the number 24 and there's only 18 to 20 in kindergarten. So, but that's still 180 kids. Where are those people right now, is what I'm asking. And I'm not being facetious. I don't understand how they're gonna be full when they open in the fall. Where are they now?
Aren't we gonna have 5 sections of every grade after that?
Correct. I believe 5 sections next year for grade school.
So we're gonna be lowering the class size in every grade level to.
Well, how much was our enrollment increase in this last year in itself? We had,
I don't understand. Yeah, I know.
I have to go back and.
yeah, I mean,
I'm not
I
trying to
wouldn't
be
say-
nitpicky, but I just don't understand, I do understand, there's, you know, subdivisions that create more kids, blah, 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 but I'm wondering where they are now. I don't think they're all waiting to move in the summer, and then we're gonna have 180 kids show up that we need to put in those 10
Well, and
classes.
some of it also has to do with what we're utilizing now as classroom space. So right now, like we said, we're using the library and we're using other locations that we need to put back to whether for like some of our special needs or teachers, extra, that kind of stuff that don't have classrooms. So we need to take them take some of that stuff where we have some of our classrooms and put them in classrooms.
So,
So that's part of the issue too, is
so
we
what
just
is the
don't have the classrooms.
what is the anticipated increase in student enrollment for the fall?
Well, some of it is gonna be some of that subdivision over
I
in Woodward
understand, I'm looking for a
Estates.
number, though. What is the anticipated?
Well, we don't, I don't think we can give you an exact number of who's in that Woodward that could come over
You
here.
should
We
be
just
saying
know
that.
that, that is some of our school district, I guess you could say, is in
Right.
Woodward.
So here's one thing that's happening. I have children in this school right now. They have not been in the library at all this year. They're not allowed to go in the library. My kids get a book brought out to them. If they're allowed to go in, they're in for a few minutes to grab a book. How is that teaching my kids? We need these classrooms so that the kids can get back in the library.
But what classrooms are in the library?
Well, I mean, they can answer that question, but
But
there are. So that's my point. There's at least 2 classrooms right there
can
that
we,
need to go somewhere
yeah,
else.
so I mean, there's definitely, there's a lot of different topics here, but we were trying to focus on the truth and taxation hearing. So if you have further questions about classroom sizes, I invite you to come and visit Dr. Butte to ask those questions, and then he can work with you to get the numbers and everything like that. If there's any other comments or questions regarding the truth and taxation hearing that we had for today, then I will take or questions or comments regarding that, then let's take that. Otherwise, I'll have a motion.
Hang on, one thing I wanna take back, they're not gonna be like at capacity, the 10 classrooms is gonna be it for a very long time. So the hope is that there is some extra space.
I'm sorry, I
That
thought you
the
said they were gonna be
extracurricular
full and that
classrooms-
concerned me.
Yeah, no, they'll be used because extracurricular classrooms will open back up instead of being a grade level classroom. So again, that's all the school's gonna have for a very long time, so I hope they last without having to put trailers outside for a very long time.
And that is why we work with our architects to make sure that they were maximizing the space.
No, they don't. I've been in trailers. They don't work
We
well.
taught them,
They don't work well. They're not good
we
for
taught
kids.
them.
I've been a student in a trailer.
So-
They
I
don't work
have a
well.
question not related to that, can I ask, it's related to the truth and
Okay,
taxation.
yes, please, thank you.
What, and I'm guessing it's gonna come up in later, but the amount that's being abated each year, what's the amount that's scheduled to be abated this year?
1.63 million.
1.63 million? I know it keeps going up every year as the,
We used to do
It'll
like
be-
699.
1.63 million-ish
oh, I'm at
for the next 19 years.
19 years? Oh, okay.
This year
For a while
plus
there,
19
it was
more.
changing back in the day. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close the truth and taxation hearing?
So moved.
Second, discussion. Okay, roll call vote please. Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Gwen Violet,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Vishali Shah,
Yes.
motion carried. Okay, so we're gonna move on to item number 7, administrative reports, Dr. Review.
So admin reports were included in your board packet. I do want, from my report, just a couple of things for the board. Calendars that we've been looking at are included in here. Calendar option 1 is the one right now that has the most support. I know there are others that were offered, but those were only offered if the possibility of the construction project not being done on time. We expect it to be done-ish on time. So option 1 most likely be the one we bring to you for discussion and voting next month. We also wanted to update the board on the strategic plan for 24-29. Mrs. Shaw, Mrs. Hausch worked on that document. What you see in that was what we came up with, the wordsmithing from our Saturday session with Martinez. The next strategy that we would take is if you're okay with the language that was here, take your feedback between now and say first of the year. Then we'll send it off to the admin squad to give the actual individual learning targets for each one of those goals for the board, present that back and put a link on our website, get a community feedback as well and their thoughts on it before we have final approval sometime February-ish. That's the plan.
Do you want everybody to go look through it, like, before that?
Yeah, please
That would
take a look at it. I know you've all looked at the back already, but take a look at it. I know you're involved in helping create it. This is the final wordsmith document. If there are things on there that you don't like or understand, you want altered, please let us know. We'll make sure that gets taken care of before it goes on our website. We are gonna put this on the website with a link for community feedback. This should be out for the first meeting.
And then we also send out.
Yeah, it'll be sent out to staff as well and to parents and let them know it's there for their review and discussion. Any questions or comments on any of the board reports?
And that was neat to see that, for the author to come to school, is that something, I don't know, is that something they're trying to do?
We do that
Often,
often, so occasionally, yes.
It looked like a good.
It was very fun.
Very
It
good,
was a
yeah.
great day,
Yeah.
yes.
Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to old business. May I have a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of board policy press 113 additions, deletions, and changes. Discussion.
So following up from our conversation last month, I did reach out to legal, question 6, I believe, that we had discussion on, 4 on the residents. Legal counsel indicated that you absolutely could put parameters on employees, but you couldn't put any parameters on the students. So for example, you couldn't say an employee can bring their child as long as they're not a special education student, you cannot do that. But if you want to put parameters on the student, on the adults, you can. Again, it's optional. The board does not have to authorize that. Legal counsel said it's been split on the districts they've served, some do, some are not doing it. Totally your decision.
I thought we came to a conclusion on this last time. I was confused on why it was stated this way. I was reading this.
The direction that I had from the notes was to discuss with legal counsel and get back, but we were left off last month, we were leaning toward the no, not doing it. But the question
We
was,
still
has
have
to
to
legal,
vote,
that was their opinion.
Because if it were to came up, we would go with the original method of doing that.
Correct, which was a no.
Which is a no.
Still allows us to address any instances the way that we have.
If you go with the default of no, then the answer is no, there have to be residents or have a property that's being developed in the district, and we get until January on those. Twice, correct, okay.
So are we staying with no? Correct.
I thought that's what we were, we just wanted to look.
Yeah, I just looked at it, the answer is either way, you can go either way, and they didn't have a recommendation either way, but if you want to do it, you can put parameters on the adults, but not the children.
We're gonna stick
Stick with no, that's fine, yeah, absolutely. In which case you can approve it as written with no changes.
with- Okay. So do I have to say anything about it? Then,
You vote. Oh, that's it.
do we do a roll call or?
You can do either one.
Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Josie Shattuck. We're, just to correct, understand what we're voting for, it is to remain the same as it
I
has
think
been,
it's all
including
about-
the.
Yes, on that particular question, it's remained same as current.
Okay.
And everything else as we talked about last month.
Okay, thank you.
So there's like 25. different
Right.
ones.
Yes.
Yes.
Then yes.
Gwen Bielek,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-21 adopting and directing the filing of a certificate of tax levy for 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone want to say? Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote please.
Gwen Bielek,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve part-time co-interim director of student services employment agreement with Valerie Gudgeon?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? We had to hire 2 part-times because ours.
This is the Rachel, Phil for the remainder of the year, yes.
And then we'll be posting for a new position.
Already have.
Okay. Roll call vote please.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Gwen Bielek,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, this is the second one. May I have a motion to approve part-time co-interim director of student services employment agreement with Joyce Powell?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote please.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Gwen Bielek,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes regular minutes from November 14, 2023, bills payable, treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote please.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Gwen Bielek,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-22 abating the taxes heretofore levied for the year 2023 to pay debt services on the general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source, series 2021, and the general obligation school bonds, alternate revenue source, series 2023 of the district.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Discussion, so this is an amount of $1.63 million to cover the 2 series bonds and, so they know we were talking about
Correct.
previously. No discussion, roll call vote please.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Gwen Bielek,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt resolution 2023-23, statement of completion for health, life, safety agreement?
So
Discussion?
What is it? This-
So this is the 2016 health, life, safety work that was filed prior to me coming on board. All of the work that was identified, that needed to get done, certified it's been done by the architect and folks that did it. This allows us to close it out with the ROE and the state.
Is this like the list A, B, or
Yes,
all,
that's the one.
all A, B, C?
It's all,
All the items are done.
all, okay.
We have to get another inspection.
That's good.
26. 26, correct.
Seriously, it is.
Every 10 years. It's required by law.
That's scary, because a lot of codes change.
That's
Yeah.
That costs a lot of money.
As long as you don't make changes to things, then it remains in code, but there are some things, you're right, that codes change and they do require you to do the changes.
Do you know approximately how much money we spent for addressing health, life safety stuff?
It was in the neighborhood of $2 million. We specifically spent 400 and, it's in the document here. 222,000 and was what we approved for the brickwork. We actually spent 440,000. It was done, did it over 2 years. The rest of it then was incorporated within the renovations that we did the last few years. So the fire stopping up above the film spaces, we did that during the construction project. So there wasn't a separate line item per se for that. It was part of those projects.
So then in the 2 million, those things aren't included in this 2 million?
Yeah, we estimated that the whole total of the health, life, safety projects was around $2 million. So we incorporated them in those projects over the last couple of years, and they were just embedded into that. Specifically, the ones that were separated for health, life, safety was 440,000. But they're all finished now, all 3 sections of it.
When did that start? Like, was it done in 06 or was it something the state adopted?
Health,
The health, life,
safety.
safety, been for a long time, it's been many years. We have to do it every 10 years.
Do you think in 06 the school went through it?
You have to. It's long. I mean, let's just
It's
do it.
weird because there, some of the stuff that came up was
Pretty local, like,
very old.
yeah,
Very
that's
old,
my thing,
yeah.
like, how did they get, yeah,
You passed it.
how did they get
Don't
next?
know.
Yeah, not that I wanna do that, but I'm just saying,
Don't
like, that's the other reason, you
John, you want to
take it from some of these additions and stuff like that. And so that's what I don't understand.
I don't know.
Or maybe they didn't have a code for it yet.
No, there have been building codes for as long as there have been buildings. I don't have answers for that. I don't have answers for that.
Okay,
Sorry.
roll call vote, please.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Gwen Violet,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Michelle Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve student fee adjustment?
So moved.
Okay, is this regarding the Chromebooks?
This is. So I know last year, gosh, in February, I believe, the board took action to reduce registration fees to $0 for families. And part of that included the technology fee. Director of Technology is here tonight and helped, he did have some information with Mrs. Modal about the issues they're seeing with junior high students in the Chromebooks. We're getting a lot of damage. I don't want to just call it and say it's intentional damage, but in some cases it's absolutely 100% intentional damage. There's some stats in here, is a memo, 51 instances took place, 18 of them were repeat offenders this school year alone. It's, you know, you've got a neighborhood of $11,500 at the current clip that it's on. So the request is to alter, even though that registration fee is remaining at 0, that if there's student damage to Chromebook, there'd be a penalty, and the students and parents then pick up some money to pay for that after their students have had it and damaged. So that is the request from the technology and junior high principal.
So this is, so in here you showed Carrie's, kind of steps or whatever, right? Am I reading this correctly? With their annual, at the top of
Sorry.
their letter set.
Yeah, that was I believe they reached out to their other region 4, so Fox River Grove, Cary, Crystal Lake 47, and look at what their structure was. That was their feedback. I believe they then took some of that and applied to their own scenario to give you this presentation.
I mean, it seems logical and fair, if you lost it or you got it stolen or something.
Is there a waiver that they sign as part of their enrollment for the year, every year that
You say
says,
waiver, what do you mean by
I
that?
guess waiver's probably not the right word, but an agreement that they understand that this is the implications as a parent?
Or Scott on that one.
When they, when they meet with Joan for registration, they do sign a Chromebook agreement. Of course, these new updated terms are not on that yet, but they are agreeing to certain terms to take care of the device.
And is this gonna go effective next school year or immediately?
I'm working with Mrs. Modell on that. We'll have to work out some kinks like how do we collect the fees through Skyward, so through the business office? How do we communicate this to families? How, when we have an instance, do we communicate to a family why this is happening, that kind of thing. So there'll be some things we have to put in place first, but we'd like to implement it sooner rather than later. The issue dates back to, I don't want to take up too much time, but to when we were doing remote instruction, we had to provide a device to students. No matter if they smashed 3 of them, we had to keep giving them another device. That mentality has continued to be back here in the classroom. And so now we have some instances with some students, these numbers are on, this document are only for the first trimester. But some students, they know that there's no reason to not keep smashing their device. So if their device has a couple missing keys and they don't like that, they could literally just step on it and we give them a new one. There's no skin in the game for parents at this point. So putting this on your desk right now is just making sure the board agrees that we do have your backing, that they will have skin in the game. And I will point out, if you scroll to the bottom of that document, the one that says fee structure, there's a table down there. For the first instance of breakage, there is no charge. So of course, there's instances where someone knocks something out of a friend's hand accidentally. They're not charged for that, for accidental stuff. But it's just to have a little bit of skin in the game for these students that are repeat offenders.
Questions?
Yeah, I mean, makes complete sense. I'm 100% agreement. You know, you break it, you buy it, especially if you're doing that intentionally. But you know, I know we best effort to eliminate the student fees. Do we need to have a technology deposit in the beginning of the year?
I mean, deposits are a bit kind of complicated, so you return the deposit and all that stuff probably. So if we have this fee structure, we say that probably covers.
It's a small subset of students that really are an issue.
Why make them
Okay,
pay?
so it's not a broader numbers.
Agreed.
Okay.
So, roll call vote, please.
Gwen Bialik,
Yes.
David Costa,
Yes.
Stephanie House,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Steve Sebastian,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
Kashali Shaw,
Yes.
motion carried.
May I have a motion to adjourn at 7:47 PM? So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Facetious, like, transfer students, run a set of